Now, since I'm driving the bus, Patrick, let me ask you this question, which is you and I both agree that as real estate investors, it is critical and important that you set your own thesis to where you think real estate is heading. And then essentially, from my perspective, I look at big data points and to stress test my thesis on real estate until such time that I see those data points change my mind on where I think real estate's going. Then I adjust my business to reflect my new thesis. Okay, that's how I run my business.
Yep.
And that's how I believe real estate investors should run their business. That's why I do it that way. So my question is since the last episode of Rein It In, given that the world is coming to a crash from same perspective, different perspectives, have you heard anything new that has changed your thesis on real estate?
I don't think the thesis for real estate ever changes. I mean, depending on what your strategy is, if we have a long-term view of the world, then really these kinds of things may affect us, emotionally or mentally. It beats you up a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you look at real estate, if you're not playing a short-term game, if you're playing a long-term game, then these are all just kind of, noise in between the entry and the exit.
But that's actually my point, Patrick. My point is this does beat up people mentally.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to point out to people that are so in it and they get dragged down by all this stuff that I think some of them need to, if you can handle it, great, then consume all this information, consume all this data, and then make your decisions accordingly. But I'm a guy that can't handle it. I can't handle all those data points because I look at the major data and I look at my major thesis, and then I make operational decisions. And I prefer to focus on the operational side of my business versus all that data all the time. I look at the data on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis, not on a daily, weekly basis from my perspective. But the way
but here's the thing about that. Let's because this is a great point of entry in terms of we're investors. Okay. So we have to think of it, treat your real estate investing like a business. We've used all of those kind of things. When we look at the headlines, data points, interest rates, this is happening, listing, all of the stuff that's happening. Who are they speaking to? Homeowners. What's one of the most emotional buys you'll ever buy? One of the biggest decisions you'll ever make is buying a home. So the papers and the headlines have to play to that emotion. That's what the hook into reading all of this and the world coming to an end. It's always about the bad news headlines, and a home is emotional. So the point is this: as investors and within Rein, what we're always trying to do is clear the clutter and get focused on what's happening. JG, we can jump over to prices if you want when we look at listing prices or wherever you want to go. But ultimately, we can't buy into these headlines because they're focused on the emotion of home buyers, first-time home buyers, wannabe home buyers,